to subscribe to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. Today's special guest is Crystal Mclean out of North Carolina.
Welcome to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and friends. Today I have with me Margaret Green,
Hello. How you doing?
Ramon, aka Mr. Energy,
Yes.
Ursula D. Allen, aka Miss Blue. All right, guys, and our special guest today is Crystal McLean. So, guys, tell me, how's y'all day going so far?
It's good, real good. I did. As I mentioned earlier, I had a chance to go to the gun range today and do some practice, and my first time. It was pretty cool. It was like letting off a little steam, a little bit, just a little bit.
Just tell Troy, don't make you mad.
I was like, "Oh man, this is pretty cool. I can get with doing some practice, and it is a good stress reliever. That's for sure. It really is. It's a good stress reliever, So
Okay.
I practiced with a 22 today. I was like, cool.
22.
Yeah, but the one Nita had, that thing had some kick.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh Lord. So I
Okay.
mess with that. I did with a 22.
Okay. So, Ramon, how was your day today?
Well, we gonna say it's going good. It's going good. Wait, tell you Tell Jay I said what up. Tell Jay I said what up, B. No. Over.
All right, Mr. Ramon. So, Margaret, what do you have for us today in real estate?
Just a little something. Something I heard learned today in one of our sales meetings we had today, and he gave us a very good example of why it's a good rule of thumb for buying versus renting. And he did one based on a home that cost $325,000 with the interest rates the way it is right now before they start going back up. It was $1,971 a month. Now that same house, if you rented it, is $2,300 a month.
Oh,
So
wow.
imagine if you were renting a house versus buying that house, you would save a whole lot more money by buying versus renting. So that's why and I know right now it's not it's not in everybody's to buy, but just think about it when you get ready to put that first month and last month down payment for your rent to more for with a lease. Look at it from a different perspective. Hey, if I add a few more thousand to this and I can put down on my first house, why not? And my mortgage payment would be a lot less than my rent. So keep that in mind. And that's my gold nugget for today.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We appreciate it. We truly appreciate it. Okay. That's fine. So what you got for us, Mr. Energy?
Music news. We got my feelings on Kanye with his stream. It's a Steam. It's called a Steam or whatever. I can't pronounce the name of it, but it's an app. It's almost like an app development where he's competing against bigger companies like Apple Music. Apple actually offered him like 200 million for his new layout on his latest album, Donda 2. But he denied he didn't want it because he put it out on his own platform. And in the first week he had made I think the first day he made like $2 million in the first day, and Apple was upset about that. But just to see the future trend of what he's gonna do with that development on that app is he's gonna change music as a whole of how we intake music for artists. So shout out to Kanye and keep doing your thing and keep pushing the music world forward.
Okay,
That's
good.
good. It sound like something similar to Dr. Dre.
Yeah. They And like Jay-Z when he did Tidal. When he did Tidal, everybody made fun of Jay-Z when he did Tidal because it wasn't doing so good when it first came out. But like everybody that knows business, when it starts off, it's not always the best, especially when you're
Right.
one of the first to compete against the Apple Musics and the Spotify's and stuff like that. So everybody made fun, but now Tidal was one of the top streaming companies, just like the Apples and the Spotify's. So you just got to take risks and take chance. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's important.
Yeah, that's good. So does that conclude your thing
Yeah.
for today? All right, cool. All right, guys. So we got
It's time for celebrity gossip with the one and only Shanita J.
Hi, it's your girl Shanita J with the Celebrity Tea, and I just want to let you guys know a few things today. Our first topic is going to be no other than Mr. Kevin Hunter, the ex-husband of Wendy Williams. He reportedly has gone to video. He's made a video about taking full accountability for his actions and the different things he's done over the last year, as far as Wendy Williams' health has declined. Allegedly, she's needed 2 blood transfusions, and the list goes on. He talks about leaving a legacy for his children, as well as he talks about his relationship with his partner, Sabrina, allegedly. But I mean, I'm sure you guys will discuss what all, your thoughts are on that video. But moving on right along, Morris Chestnut receives his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Let's congratulate him, everybody.
Yeah.
And then we want to talk about, I don't know if you guys are into Meg Thee Stallion and checking out her music. I'm pretty sure you guys are not trying to see if you guys have Meg Thee Stallion needs. However, she's being sued by her old label, or her current label, for she's lacking a few albums. She's not perform. She hasn't coughed up that money. So they're gonna try to recoup what they put into her. And the record label is the 1501 Certified Entertainment Group. So hopefully, everything works out. This is just a lesson to be learned for all you up and coming artists, singers, rappers, whatever. Please read your contract. Please make sure that this is something you want to do, because you really just don't know how big you're going to blow up, and you definitely don't want no one coming like with their hand out like, hey, what about me, once you become big and you blow up. But, make sure you get your lawyer when you're signing those papers, people, because, when you're young and you're looking for all those different things and you're trying to sign the first thing movement, it's not always a good deal. Case in point, she's doing big things, making big moves, but she owes people money and albums, so she better get to work. And this is all I have for you guys today. Enjoy the rest of the show. Bye.
No, that's deep.
Yeah, that is. Ain't that something?
Wow. That explains why they was allegedly saying that Rihanna and Drake had dropped her from their connection. As far as she was part of their I guess following. They dropped her from it, from following them. I was like, wow. So that explains why.
Yeah.
Like, they want nothing to do with you right now.
A lot deeper with Meg too, because she got the thing going on with Tory Lanez, and now he ended up not being guilty. He was innocent in that whole shooting incident. He said he never shot her, so there's still a lot of allegedly stuff going around with that. So, and then the label that Shanita was talking about, 1501 or 1506, they're tied with Jay Prince. Jay Prince's Rap A Lot Records. Rap A Lot Records are the ones who found Drake and brought with Wayne. So that may be some incidents in there. Hollywood how it rolls.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Okay. That was good information, Shanita J.
Mhm.
Thank you. Well, what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about a few things. One thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, here's Ursula. Yeah. Welcome, Ursula.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Um, before I get started on what I had to say, did you have anything you wanted
Look
to
like your
add to
cartoon today.
Huh.
What did you say, Laura?
Before I get started on what I have to say, did you want to say anything? You have
No.
any? Okay.
Mm.
No news or nothing. Okay.
No, don't move to Atlanta. The traffic is horrible. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Say what?
The
Yeah.
traffic is horrible. She's
Oh yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah, you right. You got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So one of the things I was gonna mention was Wendy Williams. She slams her no good for nothing, allegedly, former manager in Wells Fargo. She asked where is her money at? And in honor of Wendy Williams, I got my wig on today in honor of Wendy.
Really? Is
I do
that
like
what we
that.
going with?
Go,
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
how you doing?
Huh?
Go,
How you
How you
doing?
How
doing?
you doing?
How you doing? Yeah. So and then also because we have on the show today, our author is she talks to young people about money. And so because of that, I wanted to mention this. And I thought it would be appropriate because of the fact that she's going to be talking about money and children, the children, how they can save their money and how to learn how to do it at a young age.
Mhm.
Well, this is something I ran across and I wanted to mention it. I just want to mention a few of them. I'm not going to mention them all, but I'm going to mention a couple of the African Americans that are billionaires today.
Oh.
So I didn't realize that Oprah Winfrey is now number 5 on the list
Oh
at
wow.
2.5 billion.
Wow.
Who else did I want to mention? Michael Jordan is now at number 9 on the list at 1.9 billion.
Wow.
Jay-Z is at number 14 at 1 billion.
Wow.
And Robert Smith is at number 3 and he is at 5 billion.
Who
Wow.
is he?
Is he the one who paid off those college tuitions?
I think so. If I'm not mistaken, he's I forgot what I had it written down. I can't find my little documents, but he's something. I thought he was the guy from BET, but I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me, nobody.
Mhm.
Allegedly, I'm thinking that might be him, but if not, I just wanted to kind of
Yeah.
talk a little bit about, hey, if you start at a
Well, I
young
thought Tyler
age.
Perry was on there.
No, he wasn't on the list. I didn't see him unless he farther down the list.
But
This
Probably.
was like
so you got
this was like 14. The
you
list of 14.
because on Forbes, Ye, he's richer than all of them, 6.6. He's
Oh,
at
okay.
6 billion. So with some of them, it depends. They don't even have it listed. Some of them depends if they even have it.
Right.
Discretion of the author.
Right,
writer.
exactly. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that because we're talking about money today. This young lady is an author out of North Carolina, and she talks to young people. She goes around to different schools, libraries. She's active in her church community, and she does a lot. So and she talks to them about how to save money. And so I was just adding that to it because of the fact that those are billionaires. If our children start saving at very young ages now, they could become billionaires. So that's the reason why I mentioned that. And but
That's if you
you know,
start with them when they infants.
oh yeah, you start very young, and start teaching them about, every time you go to the store doesn't mean you have to spend your money. Hey, save it. So I just thought that would be appropriate to say because of the fact that this young lady that is coming on today is going to be talking about children and how she talks to the children about saving money. She actually has a book out and I'm gonna let her tell y'all everything about herself. So we're gonna bring her out. Our guest for today is Crystal McLean out of North Carolina, and I'm going to bring her out right now. Hello, Crystal. How are you?
Hey,
Hi.
family. How are y'all?
Hi.
Hello. Good. How are
Hey.
you?
Good.
Good, good, good. So, Crystal, tell people a little bit about yourself.
Well, first, I am a believer. I love Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Um,
Amen. That's right.
second, I am a wife of my husband, Brandon McLean. I am a mother of Harmony, which is like the main person in Harmony in the Empty Piggy Bank, which I'll talk about in a second. My 10-year-old princess. I am a youth pastor at one of the greatest ministries on this side of heaven, Chosen Remnant Ministries in Fayetteville, North Carolina, under the Pastor Lorna Taylor. I am just really on a mission, teaching our young people definitely first about Jesus Christ, but also about handling money, healthy money habits, creating those healthy money habits that, they can truly have fun with learning about money. It's not something that is traumatic. It's not something that they walk in with fear. Because I know for some of us growing up, money was like one of those taboo topics that you just don't talk about. Why? Because it wasn't no money.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's traumatic. And so I wanted to make money fun, even for those that are in environments where, it may not be, it may still be a lack of being able to talk about it. They at least have some resources that's fun, and that can really jumpstart the conversation. So I wrote 2 books. One is named Harmony in the Empty Piggy Bank. This is a book about money, budgeting, entrepreneurship, and persistence. So teaching our young people about entrepreneurship, and that even at a young age they can create a business and build a legacy from there. And then my second book, most recent, is No No Sunny Save That Money. And this book is a rhyming book about money, saving and investing. So when you were just talking about how they can, at a young age start saving up, think about it compounding and invested over that much time. You really got a strong nest egg and could be billionaire status depending on how much you save and the rate of return and all that good stuff. So that's a little bit about me. I just love I love having conversations about these topics because again, it was a taboo topic for me.
No, that's good.
Great. That's great.
Hmm.
That's pretty
What?
interesting.
Yes, yes, yes. So, how do you keep motivated through the difficult times? Because I know you have those difficult times that we all have.
Um, the Lord, I ain't even gonna lie. I'm,
That's it.
I mean, honestly, I don't know no other way to say it. I mean,
Hmm.
there are times where I feel unmotivated, but I also realize that the Lord has given me this purpose and this assignment, and because of that, it causes me to really ensure that I go at it with full impact, because it's not about me, it's about serving his mission and his assignment in
Right.
this earth. So but there are times where I get unmotivated, I just get tired, and that's the time where I feel like I need to pour in my prayer space more, and maybe just get away from social media because that's draining.
Oh yeah.
Get away from events and things like that, and just really draw to that space where I can get refilled before I begin pouring back out.
Mhm.
Hmm. That
Makes
makes,
sense to me.
yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
How
Hmm.
long?
I was gonna say this, yeah, that social media can drain you. It can drain you. So yeah, you do have to take a break from it every now and then. But who Ursula, you was gonna ask the question?
No, I was just going to ask, how long have you been writing? I mean, I know you're writing about this particular topic, which is a passion to you, but how long have you been writing?
I would say I would going back years. I still have stuff that I typed up years ago, haven't published or anything like that. I remember starting my first project, and that was um probably when I was like 19, but I wanted to still same passion. I wanted to teach.
Okay.
Well, it was around money, but then the second one, still didn't finish that one. It was more towards single mothers because that was my experience at that time. And so I kind of found like I figured out why I didn't finish those projects is because I got in my own way mentally. But with these being able to really birth these out, it has really given me the courage that I can, those bigger projects that I started years ago, I can pick those back up and still be able to push them out and birth them out. Yeah, but I would say young, writing poems and stuff like that. I've always loved reading and writing, but to this magnitude a few years back.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool. Ramon?
Yeah. So, finances. How did you get involved in finances? What intrigued you about money?
Because I ain't having none. Nah, so for real.
That's all of us.
Nah, but for real, truth is that what really got me was when I graduated college. At that time, I was a single mom, and it was more like at this time, do you pay this student loan bill, or y'all gonna eat? Like you gonna pay this credit card? You gonna pay Capital One, or y'all gonna eat? Right? So, and what I realized during that time was that no one really, and I can't fault my mom because I'm teaching her now, right? Some of the stuff that I would have wished to be passed down, it wasn't, because it wasn't that it didn't, maybe they didn't have the desire to, it was just that they didn't have the knowledge to.
Yeah, they didn't
And we
know.
find in our community that, the lack of literacy. Yeah, we're in an information stage, right? We can go on Google and find, a budget sheet and all of that, but it's the wisdom piece of it on how to apply that knowledge. It's a wealth of knowledge out there, but to learn how to apply it to your situation and to your style and all these things, it took a while. And so I was really frustrated. I was broke, and also at the same time, I was trying to teach my daughter about money. And so it was just a culmination of things like, why is this not taught? Like anger, like, so I started teaching myself how to budget and things like that. And then I started teaching other people, like some of my close friends, like, how to budget for them. And then it just kind of grew into something more. And then again, while I started teaching my daughter about managing money, I went into Barnes and Noble and I tried to find a book, and there wasn't one on the shelf that was for her age group. And then, one, not for her age group. And then the other thing that I saw that was lacking, even when I went on like online to look for those type books, it was either animals or it was Caucasian characters. And so I'm like, I want my child to be able to see herself in a book, that when she look at these books, she don't just see people that don't look like her, and she feels like it's unobtainable for her because of how she look versus how they look, right? The depictions and the perceptions, right? So it just was a culmination of lack that drove me to why don't we know, that drove me to how can I make sure and empower others to know.
Oh, wow. That's very good. Margaret?
In the preparing for this, how did you do your research on in order to create the book that you did for, and be able to give the guidelines and the guidance that you give in the book to the children, so they can be able to understand it on their level? Because it's easier for us to say how you can do it this way, but on their level, because children, it takes them a little bit longer, but once they learn it, especially when they're young, they get it. It absorbs a lot quicker when they're little than it does when we get older. Because when we get older, we got a lot more things to deal with. Whereas when they're younger, they don't have as much, so they can focus more. So how did you start with the format?
Well, I'm thankful for a couple of things. That's a great question, by the way. One is that I have the anointing to deal with youth as a youth minister. That's one of the things that I'm around them. I get to see how they function, how they think, how they laugh, how they talk and communicate. So that was a blessing in itself. Then at the same time, I have a daughter at home. So she was like my first critic. Like, what's this word? So I'm like, oh, snap. Let me take that word out, because if you don't understand it and this is targeted for your age group, I definitely don't want something that's well over your head that doesn't even make sense. And then a good editor. Editor was very helpful in the process. That was like, okay, this is the terminology for the 3rd to 5th grade range. Probably don't want to use this set of terminology, right? But as far as the knowledge standpoint, I got my degree in banking and finance from Fayetteville State University, as well as I've been in the banking and investment industry for a little bit over 10 years at this point. So I had the plus again, I was broke, so I taught myself how to budget. I taught myself how to budget, how to rebuild my credit that was raggedy at one point. Okay, truth be so,
down to a what?
Listen, we was in the low 5s, right? So the personal experience, the education back in that, you can hold that with. I don't know. I'm not even gonna throw no shade on it. It is what it is. But the experience, I think, was the most wisdom through the Lord, like teaching me, okay, now wind it down. Don't you take no credit card, no store, and you ain't got the money to pay this bill. All those things. But to answer your question, being around youth helped me to navigate the conversation to be on their level.
Yeah, and that's because that's very important, because when they're looking at something, they want to be able to understand what they're looking at. Just like when they created the Bibles for little children, they wanted to put it on their level. So when you did that for finance, is to in order to be able for them to understand it. So if you give them that book, they can take it and say, oh, okay, this makes sense. Even if you had to put pictures in it to give them an illustration of what it looks like, to save money, like mommy going to the store or mommy going to the bank and she's putting this much money in your account for a later date. Don't spend all your money. So it's just like my mom used to always say, spend some, save some for a rainy day. And so when they understand that concept and they see it on paper, it actually comes to life even more so. And I think that's really important.
For sure. And one of the things I did incorporate in each book is a definition page. So at the beginning of each book, it breaks down some of the terminology. So if there is a word that maybe they've never heard before, like invest or entrepreneur or something like that, is broken down in the definition before they even begin to read, to really help them with that reading experience.
That's great. It's real good.
So let me ask you, did you get your books the books into audio?
Not yet. That
I
I
you
just
do that.
I really would love to do that. That is one of the things I did consider. I just actually the day before yesterday got back the paper copies of them in Spanish, because I realized that there's a need for even that community, the Hispanic community.
Yeah.
That's a good community.
Yeah, and so a school had reached out and was like, a lot of our kids need this type of knowledge, but with having that Hispanic base, like, is there any way you can get your book in Spanish? And that was like kind of a desire for me, just for that sake, so that they also have a resource that makes sense to them. So that was exciting, is now that I got them in Spanish, so I have to go through the whole illustration part. But audio is the goal at some point. So thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
cool too, and the kids will love it. They'll love the
Mhm.
audio. I did that with all my books. All the children books, I turned them into audio books, and my granddaughters love it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a good
And
idea.
that's important. Plus, hearing it,
It helps them
yeah.
learn to read too. That's
Mhm.
Yeah,
You hear
exactly.
it long enough, it's gonna be in there.
retain.
Just
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So,
But
how do you distinguish yourself from your competitors?
Because I don't look at it as a competitor, a competition. I know that I'm here to serve. So it's nothing about what I do a competition. In no way. The sales that come in and all of that, glory to God. My goal is to make sure people don't grow up not learning about these resources like I did, and that they don't have to work backwards. And so I think the only competition is to compete against that lack, that gap, and to really bridge that gap. So for me, I don't look at it as a competition. I'm not like a Walmart versus a Target or anything like that. My mission is to serve in the greatest capacity with the biggest impact, and to be effective in my assignment.
yeah, that's very important. Very important.
So I have a 6 month old. She'll be 6 months old in 2 weeks, granddaughter. And And I've been trying to, I have 3 children, and I, like you said about our parents, they did the best they could, and I did the best I could with my kids. But it's still a lot of things that I wish I had done. That knowledge that I know now. So I try with my granddaughter because I want her to be the best of me. To do things differently. So what advice can you give me and any other anybody else who may be watching and or listening to us who may have young children? What give us a few pieces of just advice, kind of a little summary, I guess.
Okay, I love this question. So, number one is don't just think that your words are enough, right? Because kids mimic everything we do. And so
Mhm.
they're watching you. So, always realizing that we are the first example. So, whether it's a good habit or a bad habit, they'll pick it up.
That's right.
And so, number
Hundreds.
one is really to always lead by example. If you're doing your bills and you normally like to sit at the table, like my daughter has seen me sitting at the table with my bills and my registry and my spreadsheet, because I live for spreadsheets all day. Anyway, like whatever
Oh my
that looks
gosh, such
like.
a math numbers geek.
I love it. So let them see that, right? Because sometimes we try to hide it away because it's like, oh, it's not a kid thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, they don't have to know about debt right now at a baby age, right? But they do need to know, like, what does it look like to manage your
Hmm.
bills, right? They do need to know
Mhm.
it's a set aside time. It's not something that you just do on the fly while you're in the car at Chick-fil-A. You're like, oh, let me pay this, cable bill. They need to see the intention behind it, right? Because then that lets them know that, hey, this is something that I actually have to set aside time to plan and make sure I effectively project what next month will look like. Another thing is simple things. When you're going to the grocery store, it could be as simple as like, hey, look at this box of cereal versus this box. Notice anything different? And just ask them to, really start thinking through it. And you don't have to make them feel bad for the choice that they made. Say, which one you think is better? Well, look at that price. Let's look at that price. You don't want them to feel like, oh my gosh, I got to always pick the cheap option, right? But you do want them to start at a young age identifying certain things.
Hmm.
When it's time to pay, if you got cash, let them hand the cash to the register, because then that's giving them that mentality like, okay, one, I'm in the seat of authority where I'm passing over the money. But
Mhm.
then during that process, when they're getting the change back in their hand, did you count your change? What does your receipt say? Your receipt says $4.32. Is that $4.32? Right?
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
small things, games like Monopoly, that's
Mhm.
such a pivotal time where they can learn something at a fun moment, right? They're learning about
Mhm.
investment properties, they're learning about taxes, they're learning about all these other things. If you don't pay, you go into jail, right? Like all these
Mhm.
right? Like they're learning about all these pivotal
The
lessons
IRS are
on,
coming.
I'm telling you, they're learning about all of that through just a game, right? So that's something fun. It's something simple and it's light. And we've had conversations in the middle of it, like, do you really think you need to, buy that? You think you have enough to buy that? So learning like delayed gratification. If it's something that they say, Grandma, guess what? I really want this tablet. One of the things my daughter said she wanted a tablet, she created a whole lemonade stand, which was the concept of this book. We said,
Oh
no, we
no.
just bought you some. You're not spending my money for it. So what you gonna do? She came back with an entire plan. Kids have the ability to use their minds if you allow them to, and if you give
Mhm.
them that freedom
Creative.
to start to think and to create and to envision, and so giving them that space and that time to say, okay, you got $4 and you need 100, so what you gonna do? And give them that time and that space to come back and say, all right, Grandma, I came up with a plan. And then you back it and you support it so that they know they have the support of their community, with every vision and every idea that they create,
Hmm.
right? So those are some small things, but it's just the simple things. Even allowance, teaching them with allowance, like, okay, save, share, spend. Those are the 3 rules of money, especially teaching kids like those, the easy 3 rules. Now, when we get older, we talk about investing and all these things, but save, share, spend. So you're going to say, hey, little one, you just got $20. How much do you need to set aside? We believe in tithing. I know everybody don't, but we do.
Right.
So how much do you set aside for tithes? Okay, you set that aside. That's $2. Okay, good. Now, how much do you want to put aside in your piggy bank or in your bank account? All right, you're going to put aside $5. All right, the rest you can spend it. That's all you, right? Those
Mhm.
small lessons of making them think, like, how much do you want to? And then that way they start to feel in control, and they don't have this fear around money. Like I grew up having that fear because I didn't have the time to make mistakes with someone guiding my decisions, where now I feel like, okay, I can manage this. Sometimes they don't have the opportunity. So giving them small, very small windows to grow and learn, make mistakes, and you can steer them back on the right path. I know that was very long-winded, but that was one of my favorite.
No,
Oh,
that
no, it
was
was good.
excellent
Very
advice.
good. It
Yeah.
was.
I'm gonna look at this again and jot it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Go
Chris,
ahead.
I had a question for. I was that young cat as a shorty, getting money, doing lemonade stands, doing everything to make money. That was me. And my biggest problem that I had 12, 13, I had lots wads of money, was residual income. I didn't understand about residual income. So for a 13-year-old out there that's got $1,000 to $3,000, he's out here, got good lemonade stands. He doing everything the right way. What would be a good residual income that they can invest that $1,000 in, a small investment like that can actually make them? Because as you know, banks, they're not giving a lot of money back on your money anymore. It's not not a lot of interest on, or really little, none to none, on depending on what type of account you got. So what would be something good for a 13-year-old with $1,000 to $3,000 to invest into?
So that's really good. That's a good question. One, I mean, even though you can't really walk in a bank and get that type of on your savings, thinking about investing. So even as a parent, if I know my child is got has that amount of money, if it were me, I got some money that's set aside in the custodial savings account, and it's invested in the market, right? It's in an index fund or something to that magnitude. So if he's continuing to get money in, we're going to set aside, some in that account, regular account, where he can pull if needed. But then the rest is going in the market to continue to bring those returns. And again, when I was talking about the power of small amounts compounded over time, when he get out of college and little buddy like, look, I want to start my business like on this magnitude, and I need to buy a van, or I need to buy a actual building or property. Imagine how much has been set aside because of those small things that added up, compounded over time. So that's one thing. That's just something that's hands off, passive invested, put it in an index fund. Another thing is, if he's thinking about like, okay, lemonade stand is not all year round. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we think of streams as, I got to go out and start a new business. No, there is streams that can come from this, flow from the same pond, right? And so, okay, you finally got your lemonade stand up. All right, you built a brand. Have you thought about putting this into a bottle where you can partner with different stores, right?
Mhm.
And put it on their shelf. So the power of partnerships. Have you thought about other local businesses, hair salon or whatever? I get thirsty at a hair salon. Can I bring these in here? And for every customer that buys, you get this percentage, I get this percentage. That's happening, while I'm not there. So I'm not even having to run the stand. So it's small things like that. Of course, parents will buy a course from a 13-year-old teaching another 13-year-old how to manage, right? So you getting on there talking about how you started your lemonade stand, how you started partnering with local stores and grocery stores
Mhm.
and things like that. And I'm just using lemonade stand because that's what you brought
Right.
up.
Yes, yes.
But that can apply to so many other areas. So little man may get on there and say, I'm selling my course for $20 to teach other young kids how to start their lemonade stand. Now he created that course, he built it, he's teaching it, and it's done. He's sent it out, and he sleep and he getting income coming in. $20 here, $20 there, or however much he charged for it. So that's another residual. He can write a book about it. That's another residual that you don't. Once it's done, you don't got to think about it no more. It's passive income.
Mhm.
So there's so many different things that from that one idea you can capture so many things out there. But I would definitely say, if that much is coming in, invest it. Don't just sit in
Mhm.
no savings account earning
Yeah.
0.03, making the bank money. Invest it.
How do you get into? I heard you mention something about index funding. How do you get into that to invest?
So you go through, any broker. So you can go through Fidelity, you can even go through your local bank, and most times they have their own investment firm, right?
Mhm.
And you just say, hey, I want to open up a brokerage account. Now the brokerage account is just the shell account, right?
Mhm.
That's the shell. In the shell, you have to tell it what to do. So you say, I want to put, some in mutual funds, some in index funds, and I want to leave the rest liquid, whatever the case is. But a brokerage account is that shell account. Then you just tell it, like, I want to invest it in a, MFS mutual fund or whatever the case is. I don't want to get too technical with the investment piece of it because I know there's compliance laws and regulations. But the point is, you can go through if you have a 401k somewhere, I always recommend whoever that 401k servicer is, use that because you already see your accounts there. I mean, it keeps
You
it
can just
streamlined,
transfer it.
convenient, but yeah, you're
Mhm.
still investing in the option you want to invest in. The good thing is that you have the control over what you want to invest in, whereas versus under a 401k, they tell you this is your
Mhm.
limit. You can only invest in these type funds. You can only, these type things. But when it's your fund, you get to invest it, or your brokerage account, you can invest it however you want to. So you can be as aggressive, as moderate, or conservative as you want to.
That's
Okay.
important because I wouldn't mind doing that
Wow.
myself.
I know, right?
You know.
So, what are your goals for the next few months or so?
Well, a couple. One was the Spanish part, so I'm excited about that. I have a lot of events coming up, from like reading events and money workshops. I just did this big campaign where I was able to raise money to purchase books to take to and donate to Title I schools,
Mm.
because there are students there that are surrounded around poverty all day, and they
Yeah.
sometimes need that escape to say
I
there's a
was going to
there's a
ask
different
about that.
way. And so my heart was for those kids that's in those type of environments. So I wanted to donate. So I got, social media. Hey family, this is my goal. Let's get some books in these schools that may not have the funding. We don't even want them to think about that. Let's just pay for the books and let's drop it off. So that's going to happen next month. April is National Financial Literacy Month, so I'm going to be pretty busy then. Um, and then I am really jump starting on the personal finance side, taking on more clients. That was one of the things I kind of stood back from, but a lot more people have been reaching out about, wanting to help with their budget being managed, wanting to help with their credit being rebuilt and things like that, and they're looking for that assistance. And so now I've started opening up the windows a little bit to allow some personal consultations to take place. So those are some of the goals on the business side.
Okay, cool.
That's
Sounds
good.
good.
Real
I'm
good.
telling you.
Make me want to go to the bank tomorrow and say, hey, wait, what's up?
Come on. Go
So,
ahead. For
Like,
real,
I'm
because
tired of this 0.25%. I want
no,
more.
for real. I'm glad you brought that up, Miss Margaret. Anybody that's listening, if you got lazy money, you need to deal with it. Every
Yeah.
dollar has a job. You should not have lazy money, right?
Yeah.
Every dollar should have a certain purpose. So, of course, money that's sitting there to manage bills to go right back out, obviously, it's going to be in, and it's income and outgoing. Anything over that should be then your emergency fund or that target fund. I know I'm going to buy a house at this point. I want to buy a car. Anything past that, it need to be invested. You don't need no lazy money, right? Because
Mhm.
that's how the bank is making money off you, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That is how you're not seeing a true legacy being built. Because when the Fed dropped the rate in the middle of the pandemic, you ain't gonna see no good CD rates right now. I'm just gonna be the one
No,
to tell you, you're not gonna see no big promotions. And if you
no.
do, it's gonna be a 6 month or a 12-month CD. So don't let even
Yeah.
those things fool you. There are conservative options even in the market, right? And so don't allow your money to sit lazy. Just
Yeah.
don't, because
Mhm.
that's how we lose access to generational wealth.
Yeah.
Yep. That is so true.
so
Take
That's
and
Crystal,
very
invest.
true.
I had another question for you. So you said you're a youth pastor, right? Now, how do you blend worship with money? Like, how do you make that blend? Because a lot of people in the church that are really church going, they don't believe in that money and money's evil and this and that. So
Yeah.
how do you
They do.
Yeah, what's your point of view on it, and how do you blend it?
They think it's evil when they have to give it. That's the only problem.
So
when you
But
start
when
asking for
give it
offering, that's when they
God,
think it's evil.
yeah, let's
that's
go.
a very valid question, and I actually haven't been asked that, so I'm glad you asked it. So I handle that from a biblical standpoint, right? Sometimes that perspective is handled wrong because it's out of context. The Bible says
Mm-hmm.
the love of money is the root
Hmm.
of all evil,
Say it
right?
again.
So I don't love money. Money is a resource. I
Hmm.
love God, who is the source.
That's
So, but
it.
I recognize that in this world, I have to manage money, and I also recognize that as a kingdom representative for God, me managing my money in a healthy way shows forth his principles. If you read the book of
Hmm.
Proverbs, it talks about how you manage your wealth, right? Some of
Hmm.
this stuff that's being taught, now is taken and then extracted from the word of God, right? And sometimes,
Hmm.
they add their own flavor and they add their own. But if you go to the true word of God, you open that word, you will find him telling you about how to manage your money and how to
Hmm.
not get how to seek first his kingdom. And then
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
all after that, after you
It'd
seek
be
first his
added.
kingdom and the righteous and his righteousness, all that
Hmm.
other stuff is gonna come. So I don't love money. I don't worship money. I don't adore money. I know that it is a resource, but I lean on God for the strategy on how, one, to manage the money
That's
and to
right.
be a good steward. He taught us how to be a good steward for what we have. And that's just not just money, that's any resource he's given us. Okay. So,
Hmm.
number one, knowing that he's the giver. He's the giver. So, if he's the giver, then I recognize that I'm just a mere steward, and how I manage it, him as the owner, that's just like you got a rental property and you rent it out to somebody and you come in, they got holes all in the walls and they stained
Hmm.
up the carpet, right? You just like,
Yep.
you a bad steward of what I gave you. And so
Hmm.
God gives us the ability to make money. He gives us the thoughts and the strategy. And what do he give us? What did he tell us? Just give him the 10%. So I
Hmm.
gladly give my 10% because guess what? When I give,
Hmm.
it's given back to me
Back to me.
abundantly. And it may not come in the form of money sometimes. It may come in the form of extra time. It may come in the form of
Absolutely.
healing. It may come in the form of
Hmm.
anything else. But the point is, he is the source. And so I'm going to
Hmm.
always give him the glory. I'm going to always give him his coin back. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
And I'm going to
That's
always
it.
make sure I glorify him. And so that I'm a good steward. So me managing my money in a good way, it gives him glory because people ask, how do I do this? And I'm going to always refer back to the word of God.
Hmm.
So that was a
I mean,
great
that's
question.
important too, because a lot of times people will be thinking, "Oh, why do you give 10%? You need that money." Well, you know what? I'd rather give my 10% and wait for God to bless me however see fit. Because when you think about it, he leaving you with 90, plus he gonna blow on that and bless that even more. So what you losing? Nothing.
That's right. And
Question for all of you ladies with that.
go ahead.
Okay, with the 10%, if someone that believes in God, he reads his Bible, such and such, but doesn't have a church, doesn't have a home church, right? What do if 10%? What if that person gives 10% out to the homeless, or do you
He
feel the
said, "Bring
same?
it to the storehouse."
You say what?
The word says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse," which is the church. He said, "Whether there be meat in my house." And he said, "Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts." He said, "If I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive it." He said, "And then I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and they shall not destroy the fruits of your ground. Neither shall your vine cast the fruit before the time in the field, saith the Lord of hosts." He said, "And all nations shall call you blessed, so ye should be the lights of the land, saith the Lord of hosts." He's letting you know that if you bring it to him, he's the only one that can multiply it. You can give it to the homeless all you want to, but he said, "I didn't tell you to take it there." He said, "Bring it to my house." He said, "Because when you take it, bring it to my house, you're gonna leave that responsibility to whoever the shepherd is of that house. And once you do what you're supposed to do, then God gonna do the rest. He's gonna give you the increase." He said, when you plant it, he's going to multiply it. Nobody else can multiply it but him. And when he does it, trust me, he said it's going to be good measure, press down, shake it together, and run it over. Shall men give into your bosoms? That means he's going to touch people to bless you, even when you ain't even expecting it. So that's why he
Amen.
said, bring it to the storehouse.
That is true. Um,
Danielle Johnson said, "Don't put your trust in the money, but put it in God's hand because He is oh, it left. Because He is the one that provides it."
Mhm.
Hey Danielle. Hey, hello everyone. Awesome show on Tuesday. And by the way, thanks for the amazing birthday wishes.
You're welcome, Danielle.
You're welcome,
Appreciate
Danielle.
'em. Amen, Margaret.
Amen. Yeah.
That was a good question, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's things like that that needs to be heard. Finances in
Mhm.
on and young cats. See, I'm in the community with a lot of young cats that I lost, and then they're switching over and they're going into God. So they're trying to figure out, like what they lost. So
Mhm.
finances is one. And I'm always preaching finances. I'm always talking about investments because I'm a money guy. I always, money. I always been a money guy, so I always talk about investments. But also too, as being a young man, 25 years old, and I believe in Jesus Christ. I love God. But even myself, I find it's because churches you go to and you say, that pastor don't look like he doing right by that. Why should I, so I'm not the only one. There's other cats out there, they especially coming from the streets, these kids are coming from the streets and they looking like, man, this pastor getting over, I'm not going to go to church, but I believe in God. I hear a word, I see what's going on. But so stuff like that is questions that they need to hear. And because some people are not that deep into the book, but they do believe,
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And I would even say to that, Ramon. Oh, go ahead, Miss Laura.
Oh, what I was gonna say, because we're getting ready to wind down in a minute, but I wanted you to also give your websites and social medias where people can find you at. But you can go ahead and answer his question, and then you can go on from there and let them know where they can find you at on your
Okay.
social media.
I was gonna definitely say, that is a transition. When you're coming in, you're first getting saved, right? And you don't, um, and I'm just saying this to any young person that's listening because that's where my heart, first one, get in the boat, get in the ark of safety, right? Get saved first, right? That's number one. And you can confess the sinner's prayer and be saved right now, today. Okay.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing because we know that time is winding up. We see that the time is
Yes.
is winding up. And even the
Mhm.
Bible tells us that as time is winding up, as it's drawing near and near, get in the house of God, right? And
Mhm.
so to go back to your point though, you know, find that real true Bible belief, and that may mean you have to go around a little bit. That may
Mhm.
mean you don't go to what family, my uncle and my auntie went, right? You
Mhm.
find a true Bible believing preaching church, right?
Mhm.
And then when you get to that place and you find that place, you're not gonna really be worried about money gains because
Mhm.
that shepherd is responsible. That the blood will be on their hands. But
That's
a
right.
true Bible believing church that has the true spirit of God there, listen, that shouldn't even be a concern. So
Mhm.
that's what I was saying earlier. A lot of people have taken the principles from the Bible and they're incorporated in the natural realm. And guess what?
Mhm.
They see the blessing of it.
They do.
But the
They
true
sure do.
blessing is in those that do it the way God said it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
people like Oprah and them, they give 10% to charities, right? Where did that
Mhm.
concept
Look at
come from?
her.
It came from the word of God. They
Yeah.
took
Mhm.
it and they use it for their benefit because they recognize this word right here actually do work. Like when I give
Mhm.
to charities, I mean I'm getting all type of stuff back. But it's when you do it in God's will, his timing, and his plan. And you also are not out to be famous and rich. You're out to God,
Mhm.
I want to be who you call me to be.
That's it.
Nothing else.
Mhm.
Because people that got all the wealth committing suicide. Why?
That's it.
The Lord said, he'll give it, he'll give you rich and add no sorrow to it. I don't want
Mhm.
to be wealthy and be sorrowful at the same time that I don't even enjoy my wealth. I'm living in depression and suicide. No, Lord, if that means I'm at this level, Paul said how he can be content and abased in every season.
Mhm.
If that don't mean I get the millionaire status, I'm okay with that. Because guess what? When you give me, you ain't adding sorrow. You're not adding all that extra stuff to it. So I would just tell any young person, first get into the ark of safety. Make sure you are saved. Make sure when it's time, when that trumpet sound, that you know where you're going. And then get into a true Bible believing church, right? And make sure you do pay your tithes so that he can rebuke the devourer for your sake.
Mhm.
My name is Crystal McLean. My social media handles is I am Crystal McLean on Instagram. On Facebook, you can go to author Crystal McLean. If you want to email me, you can go to hello@authorcrystalmclean.com. If you want to go to my website to purchase a book or to schedule a financial session, you can go to www.authorcrystalmclean.com.
Okay, and I will put that in the comments, guys. So for you all that didn't get that, but I wanted to make a comment on the part where you was talking about the tides and stuff. So I remember one time a few years ago, I had got sick, so I was off work for a while, and I had like $25 left to my name, and I remember I gave it in tides. I put it in my tides because that was all I had.
Mhm.
And when I got back to work, the first day I got back to work, I found $50. And I was like, thank you, Lord. I thought I
Mhm.
felt good because I'm like, dang.
Mhm.
I said, I just gave my last little $25 away and I got
Yeah,
$50
that's
here.
what he called it.
That's
He,
what he
he,
do.
he
Yeah.
rebuked the
Well,
devourer.
I
And
truly
he
believe
returned
that.
it.
And I remember a couple of times one of my friends and I, we would go to church and we'd give our last little $10 that we had. We were young. We wasn't even working a job yet, but we would give our last little $10 for to give in tithes and stuff. And I remember we'd go down the street somewhere, coming out of the church, going to catch the bus, and there's $20 on the ground or something. So yeah, it does come back to you. It's just like they
Mhm.
said, when you give it, it comes back
Yeah,
around to you.
that's what the word says. When you give, and shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down,
Let's
shaken
shake
together, and
together,
running
run it
over.
over.
And
Come
you said,
on.
go ahead.
Danielle said, "Go ahead now, Crystal. Great information."
Glory to God.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Um,
definitely look into that brokerage account thing. I'm definitely gonna be checking on that.
And if you have
yeah,
any questions,
Yes,
let
I'm
me know.
telling you. Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure that I get some of the books too, a couple of your books because I want to get them for my granddaughters.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, my grandson isn't big enough, but I would like to wait for you to get that audio. When you get the audio, then I want to get the audio for him. But my granddaughters, the oldest one, she's very intelligent. She catches on to everything very fast. So
Oh.
I'm sure she'll be the first one to be reading, telling her parents, look. No, y'all gotta save some money. So
She
Go
showed me.
ahead.
I could hear her now. So yeah, the
Mhm.
little the little sister, she's good with money, very good. She learns very fast too. Also, she knows what a $20 bill look like now.
That's good.
Yeah, and she only two, so
That
she
wow. That's
yeah,
good.
she very intelligent. There's some very intelligent girls.
Yeah.
What she said?
Mhm.
Danielle said, "My beautiful friend Laura Bell, won't he do it? He will give
Mhm.
you back double for your trouble."
Yes, he will.
Amen.
She will. Yep, because I
Mhm.
remember those broke days.
Me
Well, a
too.
sister was broker than a joke. That's
Mhm.
Mhm.
what that's what made me. It's so funny. You said that was what made you write your book. That was the reason why I wrote my book, Want to Get Out of Debt Fast, because of that very reason. Because I remember the times of crying and saying that I didn't have a penny to my name, and I thought it was everybody's fault except for my own. Even though it was my mistake, I did it. I spent all this money and got myself in a whole bunch of debt. Now I don't have no money. I didn't have no money to even buy myself a pair of shoes or nothing. Whatever I needed, really needed, I didn't have the money to get it. And that's what taught me my lesson.
Mhm.
But
Well,
Yeah,
I
it,
need to write a book called "Please Forgive My Student Loans," then, because
you're not gonna be one of the recipients of the money they forgiven.
I don't know.
you should
Yeah,
try it. You got to
yeah.
call that
Check it
number.
out.
It's a number that you call. I'm gonna get it for you because they keep
Okay,
calling me about it, and I already paid off my student loan, so it doesn't make no sense for me to even try now. So I thought that was just crazy for them to even
I need
mention it to
help.
me.
I need help.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they was getting over on a lot of people, especially African Americans, when in time for student loans and stuff, charging higher
Mhm.
interest, and
Hmm.
Mhm.
now they got to give it all back. Ha ha.
Is that the
Yeah.
princess back there behind you, Crystal?
Yes.
The what? Oh, what
That's
she said?
her.
Oh, your daughter. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey
So
baby.
That's
um
right.
Guys, you've been listening to Crystal McLean. She's been talking about her books that she have out. And the books are to help young people, as well as older people from listening to her conversation. But
Hmm.
it's basically geared towards the younger people because of her own experiences and her own child that she wanted to teach about money and managing money and how, to invest the money and things like that. So you've been listening to Crystal McClain, and I will put her information in the comments a little later on after the show. And you guys can go back and check it out. But we want to thank her for coming on our show. Crystal,
Yes,
we
it
don't
was
want you
great.
to leave either. Don't leave when we
Okay.
cut off until, don't cut when we cut off, because I think they had a few questions for you after the show.
Okay.
But we want to thank you all for tuning in to Inspirational Talks with Laura Simmons and Friends. And we want to thank Crystal for coming on our show today. And we would like to ask all of you guys to please share our videos. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and keep it moving, babies.
Mhm.
So we want to say good night to everybody, and we
Good
love
night,
you guys.
everybody.
Good
Thank you all
night.
for tuning in. All right, we out of here. Peace.
Mm, 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 mm.